discipleship. Yeah?
So when we moved to
Oh,
Culver,
you do?
here we were the same thing. At lunchtime I do,
A little bit.
because I know exactly
The
how much it
reality
is to
that
eat.
young adults find
And I know that
themselves
when I
in
get
today,
back to the factory,
in the world,
I'm not
in the
gonna say,
Catholic Church,
I wish I
what
could
the hell we need to do.
I go to the subway there very often. Sure. People don't know that one.
Everyone scoot down just a little bit.
One down the street.
Yeah, it's like,
Make sure everybody can see you.
That's exactly.
Chicken fried, I think.
That's awesome.
It does look
The gravy's really good.
It doesn't.
When they were at the Union gas station,
yeah,
I went in, I talked to the guy that owned it. And he
I had broken out into slides.
I just,
Did you need the CD?
No,
Oh.
no, there was only 12 slides in
in the
it.
gas station.
But there was lots of cool
Well,
work.
you know, they're building a new subway, it's terrific, I'll be able to go there.
Okay, yeah, so we are gonna wrap
He
about
said, you don't go there, I said,
discipleship
no, it's not.
tonight.
I said, if you have to go to the washroom.
There's a book called, it's called The Way of
That
the
the
Disciple.
subway
It's
employees
by
have to wash up to go out.
Erasmo
Before they go.
Leyva.
I said, no, I said, well, let me put it to you this way.
Lemicacus or something like
Pee
that.
on their hands before they went out, I would think it was more sterile.
This book really kind of goes through
And that's only if they could figure
different
out how to open
sections
the
of
door without
scripture,
touching.
specifically a bunch of different passages. It kind of breaks them down to what does
I've never
this
seen
mean
a
for
bunch like
discipleship
that.
and things like that. And so that's what I kind of want to do tonight, is go through some of these
Remember how
passages,
they used to say,
break them down, and
It's
what
like
does
an
it mean
old-time
for us
God,
and
old-time,
discipleship.
gas
And
station
so
restaurant.
that's pretty just
You know,
straightforward,
it's all,
just
you know,
work our way through it, and then when we get to the end,
stuff is partly torn off the wall and there's no soap.
I like to have a little bit of a conversation.
That's, yeah, no towels,
Between the
that's the
group
way the
of-
thing was, I mean, you stuck to the floor.
Not
Literally, your
necessarily
shoes
programming,
stuck to
but
the
Ally and
floor.
I have been talking about this, and Father Jerry Bird have been talking about this,
What are you talking
and
about?
not,
The stuff, the gas station that's next
there are
door.
things for young adults and things like that.
Well, they used to-
Sometimes
that
young
used to be
adults,
the
they're like,
subway.
Yeah, I know.
they're like the redheaded stepchildren of the church.
Hey, there's a Chick-fil-A.
There's
Yeah.
like senior citizens and elderly, like they're taken care of just by the nature of them being
Oh,
senior citizens.
I knew they
And
could
then
pour down the
things
town
and stuff like that.
Oh, it's not open yet.
And there's stuff for
Unfortunately,
families,
it's just
and there's
it's far
tons
away.
of
So
resources allocated towards youth ministry, but for
It's
us,
across the
it's
street
a little
from
different.
Walmart.
And especially,
Across the street from Walmart down on.
a lot of you are,
Don't
still
go
kind
past
of
the
in
school.
their careers,
Go
and
to the next block, go straight up all the way.
does anyone here have time to take 2 weeks off and
That's
drop
straight.
$5 grand to go to Poland,
Turn right on
Probably
10th, and they'll be
not.
there in 4 minutes.
So,
How to check it
in that sense, we need to be a little bit more creative perhaps, so we'll talk about that at the end. But the first
You go up my
piece of
road.
scripture that I want to talk about is
But the
Go
thing
with
is,
road stops.
how close, I mean,
The
high
calling
school,
of
if it's to any close, if it's really close
Peter
to high school, then
and Andrew,
we're gonna get all
James
high
and
school
John.
students going there every
Well,
single
And
they'll go.
if you remember the story,
day for lunch.
they're fishing all night, and Christ comes up and says, throw your nets out again, and they caught this great fish. And Peter goes up to Christ and he's like,
They'll get in line on my
Lord,
road,
depart from me, I
and
am
they'll
a
wait
sinful
to go
man.
through the stop.
And then,
For
kind
minute
of on the
after
opposite end of
minute
that,
after minute.
there's the
Go
piece
one
in
block
scripture
over,
where
strip by all of them.
Jesus is like, who do the
Go up
crowd
the
say that I
Tenth
am?
Street
And
Turn
John the
around.
Baptist, or Elijah,
Subway,
prophets.
I have to get there pronto, otherwise the
And
line
Pete,
goes
and
super fast.
when
Like,
you
yeah,
said,
or those
Peter's
subways
like,
there,
well,
if I
you're
don't get
God's
there
Messiah,
within
you're,
5 minutes, I'm waiting in line for a long time.
you're
Oh,
God.
you have to wait a
And
Very little.
You don't wait
I
in
mean,
line
you
at
kind of have
all.
these two extremes of Peter's
I
reaction
order it at,
and his,
I
approach
push
to Christ,
send
and
key on the
both
order on the
ends of
computer.
this kind of
about
point to
about
us
6 minutes
a
before
reality of what
12.
discipleship is.
And then walk,
On the
jumps in
one
the
hand,
car, drives over there, it's ready by
In
the
the
time
first
he gets
instance,
there.
I
Lord,
haven't
depart from me,
asked,
I am a sinful man.
but
Um,
Subway came down the street on my order and just would like. it
We have to
not be-
approach
They just like not give me
God
order
with
at the.
humility. It's the only way we
When
can
I order
approach
on app.
the divine. It's the only way we can live a life of discipleship, is starting with
Obviously,
humility.
it's not,
Advent's
I've never
coming
got an
up,
order wrong.
and you think about visualized being
But it
born in a
was-
cave, like I'm underground. And, that's why so many people miss it.
Now I get green on
They're
it.
expecting like this big grand entrance,
Green
and
peppers,
that's not what they got.
pepper
And
rings,
to get
banana
down to where
peppers,
Jesus
and
was born,
black
you
olives.
you have to stoop, you have to get down,
And
which
then
is like the
chicken and
international universal symbol for humility. This is to bend down, to
Only
stoop, and so,
the
that first kind of part is to recognize our
You get a BMC,
smallness,
bacon, mutton, and
I
tomato.
guess is the word I want to use. But at the other end, through that humility, you are God's Messiah, and on this rock I will build my church. Christ is able, through our humility, to do great things.
If it's
for us.
Robin Hood men in tights.
And if you look
or,
at John chapter 6,
Fritz
at the very
Fry,
end, all the
bacon,
people are
mutton, and
leaving,
tomato.
and Jesus looks at the other disciples, says, are you guys gonna leave too? And Peter's like, where are we gonna go? And that's really important for us, I think, to remember. I was just at the rectory, and someone was talking about
We're
a
looking
kid,
it up.
and they don't go to mass, and they don't go to church or anything like that, and they're like, well, I don't really
If it's on the internet.
organized
it's true.
religion, and I don't like all this stuff, and it's just, I didn't ask her, just people started coming in, but I just be curious, does your son say for example, football or something? How organized is that? And if it was just a big free-for-all, then it wouldn't be what it is, so
I've never watched Homer
I
Simpson.
haven't either, but I
this whole
think
notion of,
catchphrases.
I don't need those, I'll find something else, and there's I don't know if they're named Walker Percy, a Southern writer, 20th century,
The lady is
and
asking.
he talks about,
Like 20 years ago.
what else? What else is there?
Internet, and like, now they,
let's say
You wanna know what it means? Ryan?
let's say you lose your job,
no,
or you get sick, or you're burying a parent, or something like that. Are you really gonna come to the cemetery with science, or humanities, or something like that? And that's what he's like, where else are we gonna go? There's nothing else out
You
there.
ever get a chance to
For
go to
us.
Bill someplace?
And
You really want to
we
read
see
for
why
it?
priests, Christ will let us, he'll let us walk.
something that.
And maybe that's,
Metro.
so we kind of
Subway, Bridgeport.
stomach it in a way.
Metro.
Christ will let us fall and move around in some
I like these bland.
rough times, so we lean on him more, but that's kind of the first lesson of Peter is humility, and there's nothing else out there. So that's kind of
It
the
was when
first
they pressed
piece
it
of
into a
discipleship,
loaf
kind of
like that
and that's like the
in Tempe,
foundation, that's like the
Arizona,
obvious
cut it.
part. Well, we gotta be, well, there's nothing else. And so, kind of building off of that, I want to look more at like very specific stories in scriptures.
You think is meat.
And
How can you like?
we got one from
The
Matthew, Mark,
reason
Luke,
they
and John.
invented
And so
sausage
this
is so
first
that they
one
could have meat.
is from
without refrigeration.
Matthew.
And it's got so
And-
much salt in it. It's a microbial desert.
No, not
As you're kind of
mentioning
looking
like a
at
wax
building up to
outside.
this
Well, they
particular
actually
passage of
taste
scripture,
it should be animals.
it's in chapter 8. Jesus cleanses a leper.
But what it
Jesus
really
heals a
comes down to
centurion
is
servant just by saying, oh, they're good. Like, I don't even have to come, they're fine. Jesus heals a bunch of people at Peter's house, including his mother-in-law. And so you get to this section. Now when Jesus saw great crowds around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. And the scribe came up to him and said, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Another disciple said to him, Lord, let me go and bury my father. But Jesus said, follow me and leave the dead to bury their
But
dead.
I live here.
So that's like the first part of the section. It's actually, it's called the would-be followers of Christ. And like, it's real easy to like get super enthusiastic about being a follower of Christ. But then he like asks you to do something. He calls you to something greater or something harder. And then our enthusiasm
Yeah, if the weather
can wane
40, 45
pretty quickly.
degrees.
We like this idea of the gospel and service and things like that, but then we just kind of get used to it. And, it's like, jewelers get used to really fine stones. You see them over and over again. And so we have all these people like, well, I'd love to follow you, but
The terrible hot.
I want to do this for you, but, Fulton said, I think a lot of people are going to be going to hell on their butts.
buried between hills,
it's kind of a point well taken. I'm not
all the way.
condemning all these people to hell,
There
but,
were two twisters.
you spend your life not choosing God, eventually that's going to catch up to
Right
you.
toward me.
And so, we have all these people, and they're just like,
Wrong,
they're coming up with all these different excuses
I was
as
fixing
to
to turn
why
around.
they don't
Pull a
want
big
to. Instead,
U-turn.
we're on the boat, we're going over here. And all these people,
I hear that.
it's these excuses, it's, I don't like tonight, I don't like organizing religion. I don't like the church's teaching on X or Y or Z.
To the right, I think. For some reason, the way they.
No, so they're kind of like, okay, I got this built-in excuse as to why I don't want to, you don't follow
They
Christ's
go,
lead, be a
the
disciple,
storm system.
things like that.
Generally,
And to be honest, you can have all these different excuses
It's
and
not
the
all,
church
they
is
can't turn.
antiquated, or the church is out of touch, and they can't read the signs of the times and things like that. But
But whatever it is whatever
in my
direction it's going, go
experience,
the opposite
Yeah,
way.
been more
The
often
real way to
that
do it is whatever direction it's going, go at 90
people
degrees.
don't want to
Yeah,
come
well, when
here.
you're a big school bus, you can't necessarily do the U-turn.
Nobody like pickets
Well,
like
whatever it is coming at
charities.
you, trust me, you
It's
could
always-
probably pick it up and
Our
move it.
teachings on morality, that's what they have the biggest
Under one arm.
problems with. And people don't like to find out that they're wrong
My wire
about
at the
something.
cargo plant out.
And even more so than that, people don't like to be told
Her
that
parents'
they're
car
wrong.
was going sideways.
But it's even worse, it's like to tell someone, hey, the way you're living your life,
Their house was destroyed.
that's not a good idea. That's like the last
They got
straw
going
of
sideways.
a culture that's very individualistic, very relativistic in that you say what you say, what you say, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, unless of course
You
you're
gather real estate.
And then it's
First thing
like,
a tornado looks for is a trailer.
you know, it's
Yes.
one of
And then
these.
it sucks them up and
There's a
spits them in the
camera on it,
nearest
so
river.
that's why I did that.
Didn't look for.
Half a peace sign.
Sucked the thing clear of the pavement.
So we did,
And Gerald?
it's all these
Got it.
ready-made excuses as to
Yeah, I
why I'm not gonna change
You
my
ever see one
life.
of
And
those
it's
houses,
bullshit.
I'll bet you there's
It's
a bullseye
bullshit.
around.
And you live that life long enough, and you're gonna find out that you're gonna be pretty miserable, and you keep walking away from Christ, you walk away from the sun, the shadows get longer and longer and longer, and then you turn around and there's nothing there.
Yeah, they
Your
always
science
tell you
isn't
that.
there, your humanity's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
there. The only thing that's there
Put
is still
new
Christ's
mag
life.
wheels on it.
I told you. Now let's get back to the full. So, that's kind of the first part of this piece in Matthew, and then the second part, Jesus calms the storm at the sea. And when he got in the boat, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by the waves, but he was asleep. And they went and woke him, saying, Save us, Lord, we are perishing. And he said to them, Why are you afraid, O men of little faith? He rose, rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, What sort of man is this, that even the winds of the sea obey him? This is like another classic sort of excuse as to why people aren't like all in with discipleship. Like when a storm comes up, any storm in life, and you know, and Jesus is like asleep at the switch. It's like he doesn't care or something like that. And then, you know, when it seems like we maybe finally do get his attention, Lord, don't you care? And that's an insulting a question to God who is stupid.
Was that girl right there?
The one that just had a
Yeah.
little.
How quickly we forget, you know, like Good Friday, for example. But this is like the other part of discipleship. Jesus says how many times, like, you're gonna be persecuted.
What time are you gonna be?
He doesn't say you might be persecuted. You will.
What time are you gonna
And
get?
it's gonna be terrible. And you
About when?
can lose your friends, you can lose your family, you can lose your job over stuff like this. And, you know, and right now,
Sausage.
at least in our country, there's like some serious storms blowing. And
No, they still make them since they changed it all day long.
sometimes it feels like God, you know, the Christ is just
Yeah,
like
they make them
sitting there asleep at the switch.
Well, they make
The
them,
kind
they
of
make them
classic
sleep.
definition
And then they heat
of
them.
character. It's easy
Tell you what you want.
to follow God when like things are going well and things are good. But the measure of devotion to Christ is how do we behave when things are otherwise. And right now in our culture, this is what I would say the great hope of our culture is like we're being attacked like, all the time.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is even though we're like kind of getting surrounded by this this cloud,
Found out.
the lines defining who we are as Catholics are actually becoming like more and more visible. It's becoming very obvious and apparent what it is to be a Catholic, and that in itself is a very good thing. A lot of people attribute this to Pope Benedict when he said the Catholic Church is going to get smaller in the 21st century. Well, he actually said it in the 60s when he was Joseph Ratzinger. And he's
If I
right.
drink too much, I do. I don't have that.
Because this, you know, this isn't
I
going
don't
to
drink
change.
unless I eat food.
And people are just going to keep kind of
If I drink, you know,
slowly fading away.
like that
And
size, that'll be fine, but that's.
as like frustrating and as sad as that might be for us,
I didn't eat that stuff.
You ever chew that?
What is it?
That's a narcotic that they chew.
Oh, the over in the beginning.
Yeah, it's.
Jesus said, "This is my body, this is my blood," and people were like, "This is too hard," and they like Jesus didn't run them down. Like, wait, hold up.
It looks
We'll
like
change everything.
powdered sugar. I guess it's
I'll make it more
they grind up
palatable,
like
more
shells
tolerable.
a lot.
He didn't do that.
And then you put it,
He
you
let
tweak
them,
it, tweak
he
it.
let them walk
And then they
away,
get
and
some
you know,
beetle
that doesn't mean he
which is
doesn't stop pursuing us. It doesn't mean
And they
he's
get some
gonna,
of.
you know, just let us go and never bring us back. He is the good shepherd.
Like down in Florida.
But
So these have like all these nuts on them. They're
you know,
called.
it's our
We
choice.
call them goulash,
And
but you take one,
We got
when you chew all this
scripture,
stuff together,
we
and you
got
throw it
tradition,
in
we
your
got
mouth,
the church,
it's basically
and
like
you know, it's
a
all
reaction.
Christ. And if that's not good enough, like, I'm sorry. What
What
the hell do you want me to do for you?
And they spit out the
I'll
stuff.
sit and talk to them like, Father, help me understand the church's teaching on this. I don't really understand. Well, of course I'll do it. But when someone comes in, it's like, Father, the church needs to do this and this, and they're stupid for not doing it. And it's like, I'm not sure what
There would
I
never
can
have
do
anything
for you.
strong enough.
So,
that keeps me conscious.
again,
I mean, it's not like
and it usually happens
cocaine
when the
bad,
storm
but it
comes
is
up,
definitely like.
and it usually happens
Right.
when
They take him to Toronto.
my way of doing things, what I want
Well, then I
to
can talk about.
do is directly challenge by church teaching, church doctrine,
wouldn't dream of
church
taking
dogma.
you back.
But here's
Yeah,
here's the curious thing.
I mean,
Take
Canadians
Pope
are
Francis,
like
for example,
Quebec.
and the
They're
Senate.
like, I have friends who.
And you have so
They
many
don't
people,
correct people on anybody
but
else.
Pope
Friendship,
Francis, you know,
because
he's
they learn
different.
from
He's
friends.
gonna
Well, I
change
have
all
friends
this.
too, they're like,
He's
whenever I
not.
drive through Quebec,
And
I just fill up on the one side of the gas and just grab all the
but
food and stuff.
my question is,
They
why do
learn
you really
that's about
care
friends.
what Francis has to
They
say,
don't like.
or the church has to
And I
say?
discovered one other thing.
What is it, you're gonna do what you wanna do anyway, so why do you care?
We went
And I
to
think
France.
part of
We
that
went
is
to Paris,
because they
and
know
we
that
went,
the church has authority
That morning,
on
we went
these
to
issues,
the
on this
shop,
matters, and there's
and
something
one of the
about,
employees
look,
were at that
you
shop,
know,
sorry,
if
breakfast,
Francis signs off on it, and the church
restaurant.
signs off
One
on
employee's
it,
got
well, then I'm like in the clear.
And they started like.
I mean, that's like the only possible explanation that I can come up with as to why people would care what the church says. It's
If
because
someone was gonna give
it's
Earth.
established by Christ, and
France
it's
is where.
guided by the Holy Spirit. That's the only way that that can really happen. And so,
Not in the Middle East.
kind of a tangent, but part
I
of
won't
this,
argue with you.
back to the
Italy's-
discipleship, part of
Italy's not-
discipleship is,
Italy's
It
got
depends where you're going in Italy.
where do you stand when I
It
suck?
depends on who you can bribe.
We don't, we
Are you gonna
company.
Walk away, like, our faith is not being tested by
Oh,
like
so you're gonna
guns
pay the
and
extortion money. in
knife
order to get
points
your
and stuff like
shit.
that. Our test in this culture for us today is,
Tell me that
will we
isn't
become
so.
secular? And we're like, will we lead? And
Been there,
there's
done that.
a lot of people, especially in our age group, like, we're losing that fight. People, it just, in droves, people are.
Decided to buy lots of places. It didn't make any sense.
The second
He's over here saying that.
piece of scripture that I want to look at is from Mark, is Bartimaeus receives his sight. And if you remember the story, Jesus is walking through and Bartimaeus is like, Jesus, son of David, have pity on us going up to Christ. He's like not letting up. And Jesus is kind of like, okay, call him over and all this stuff. What do you want? I want to see.
Not a lot of common sense.
There was one,
He wrote this.
you know,
Mary
Mary Coppins, that's
Pictures of every time I
that's
send
his
an
name.
email.
uh,
Because it gets attached.
he kind of breaks this section down into like there's really kind of 6 points. I mean, the scripture passage is like, there's only like 6, 7 verses long.
That whole thing.
So But there's actually quite a bit in there with, as there is with
I don't read this.
most things in scripture.
No, Mylon, you're kidding.
Oh, for the love of God.
Just one of his kids.
It's not in my notes. Well,
Mylon's on
there's one that I can remember in particular, and it's usually the one I focus on. It's like, it be bold. Jesus, son of David, have pity on me. Like, people are like,
Maybe.
shut
Yeah.
up. You don't care.
He's gonna run up before we.
Here's a guy who might be able to help. So like, I don't care if I'm embarrassed.
My date's
I don't
fixed.
care
I know
if
what-
you think I need to shut up. I don't care what you might think. Like, this is Jesus Christ. He can help me. He's got some answers for me. And that's like, one of the things about discipleship is being bold. That, and again, that
Just
is
remember,
a
right down
Benedict
there,
sort of,
take
that's a
all
statement
these
he made,
senses
is
on
call
how
for us to be
Which
bold
tells
and
me
to,
they're gonna need something.
we're
Because
Catholic
this is-
and we're proud of that. And,
You guys can do.
well, like, we shouldn't be afraid of it. We shouldn't be
They don't get the
embarrassed
knowledge of all the
by
history.
that. You know, to be honest, I should have plugged my
The young guys have
freaking
no idea how
laptop
to
in.
do those, that old time.
well, listen, look at my Aunt Nancy's building.
Yeah.
She's, in my Aunt Nancy's building has.
But then there's also, you know,
Put in the
another point that he talked
1960s.
about, because you gotta know what you
Okay, when
want.
they built the condo, when they
What do you
built the
want?
high-rise.
I wanna see it. Now, this is like a very
Okay, it's got
obvious sort of
hot water heating.
request that this guy makes.
Well,
But-
they had guys that have been there.
I don't
40
know
years.
if our generation
And
particularly
they learned
knows
from the guys
what we
that were
want,
there
especially what we
before
want
that.
from the church.
Okay, so now, a new management company was
A lot
hired
of
to
our
take care of the
parents
building.
were raised
So they used the
at a time in
scientific
the church,
algorithm
after
to
Vatican
decide
Council II,
who
where
they
everything
should
was like kind of
replace.
up for grabs.
Really,
And
algorithms
things were
was a
getting
little
thrown out,
overstatement.
and
Anybody
there was
that
just
made
some
more
confusion
minimum
about that,
wage
and
was
okay,
gone.
what does Vatican II mean? What are we keeping,
And
what are we not keeping?
so
And
they,
unfortunately, a lot of things just kind of got
They hired a
chopped. And
35-year-old
then that kind of translated into, okay, well,
guy
this is just a big free-for-all,
to run
and
this
churches,
system.
whatever you want to make
Well,
it. And
I can just see
you know,
what happened the first
that's
day
the
he
church
walked
that they grew
Wanted
up
to
in.
know
I'm
where
not saying that was
computer was
everywhere.
to change
That's where
it.
a lot of
And there isn't.
people grow up. The
Bells
average
and
Catholic in this
levers.
country right now is a
You have to know where
48-year-old
they are.
white.
And you have to know how to use
So
it. and
most
what
of
words
their
to
life
use.
was gonna be raised in that sort of
So he just started turning.
church environment, and
Now
that's
they
gonna
don't
get
have hot
passed
water
down
and all
Yeah.
to the
that.
kids.
And they overpressurize
And now our
the transfer
generation,
pipes.
there's a
and
lot
blew
of
the sides
young
out of the
adults,
transfer pipe.
you know,
But they
there's
were-
tons who don't care, but the ones who
And
do
because the
care,
other guy
are kind of
didn't know what
looking
he
at
was
those
doing.
50 years.
The guy they
Not
fired.
that it's, you know, this
And
horrible,
then
terrible
the
thing, but
boilers
it's kind of
don't
like,
work 'cause all the tubes are plugged
I'm not
up.
sure that's like what
Because the
Vatican
guy
II was
didn't
really
adjust the
aiming
burners 'cause he
for. Like,
didn't know
I'm
how
not
to
sure
use
that
the start
this
button, and it
chucking
ran.
everything
That's all
was,
there is to it.
was what their intention
And now all the
was.
tubes are fired up.
And you're
plugged
starting to
up, so
see
he
that
ran
kind of
cleaner
swing back a
slow.
little.
And then they
Things kind
started
of
to leak too.
starting to
So
settle
the guy
down
that did
a
it
little
before,
bit
he
more.
was stupid, he didn't know
You
how
know,
to do
and
that
that-
either.
Us kind of, you know, young adult Catholics,
Everything
we are, you know,
that the guy
we do love our
touches
faith, we
turns
are
to crap.
involved.
And it's
It's
always
not
the
like
guy,
we're
the old
trying to
guy
go back
that
to
was
some
kept it running
pre-Vatican
for
II
40 years,
reality.
he
It's
didn't know
like,
what he
we
was
want the
doing.
whole 2,000 years, and
But
everything
they
that
want
comes
this
with
guy.
it.
fired again.
And, you know, and for
He
us,
knows what he's doing. He's very
historically,
highly
it takes about
recognized.
100 years
Rep.
for a council to be
Amendment.
worked out. And we're at like 50 Vatican II. So it
The
won't
guy
be
that
until we're like,
recommended him was his
almost
plumbing
dead,
consortium.
Vatican II will be worked out. But that's, like, that's
Who hired all
our
them?
mission right now.
They've been in
And,
the
you know,
building.
we're a
I mean,
small
they've been in the
group
building
right
so
here.
long, they remember me.
But Jesus chose 12.
You know, I walk in and say,
It's amazing
"Hey,
what can
how are
happen
you?" 'Cause I
with a
come in
small
through
group
the
of
garage
people.
door, the garage entrance. and I walk
Historically,
by
it's
their
usually a
office,
small
look
group of
and say,
people
"What
that
the
affect
heck?"
the biggest
You know,
change.
I mean,
And
that's
so,
not the
and
guy that's
again,
sitting
we'll
in
talk
that
about
office
that
and doing the stuff he
uh,
does
at the end.
since Nancy moved in.
But, you know, this idea of being bold and knowing what you want,
They
and
would have been wise to.
we're slowly starting to figure out what is it that we want from our
That's
church.
the
And,
thing, you keep the old guy
you know, that's
attached to the new
tough
guy.
culturally because you can go on Facebook and there's like 60
I
freaking
mean, they
gender
fired everyone, there were
options.
4 of them that knew how it
Like,
all
we don't
worked.
even know who we are. How can you know what you want?
Verify that company.
I don't
You
know.
know, you may be, you know,
I'm sitting.
I'm gonna put neither on my gender option
Anybody there, letting them all.
because I don't hold to society's standard understanding of male-female
Years.
roles.
That place-
Okay, but
You know what I'm saying?
do you sit down or do you stand up when you go to the bathroom? I mean, you know, it's like, general, like how that's like up for grabs is just bizarre.
Well,
This may not be the toughest time the church is going through, but it's the weirdest time the church is going through. I mean, we are tackling issues that, to be honest, a lot of us don't really know what to do with it. What do we do with Kate? Bruce, Jenna? Like, how do we explain this to our kids and being compassionate and caring, but at the same time, it's like, when a struggle comes up, is that the message we want to say? Just, let's find the easy road, the low road. That's what the hell does that get you anywhere? And that's gotta change, for our generation. And that's discipleship. Pick up your cross daily and follow me. You don't want to show up to the throne of judgment empty-handed. You know, Thomas said to Christ, show me your scars. I think that question's gonna be put to us when we die. Jesus is gonna be like, here's mine. Now, let's see. No one said discipleship is easy. There's a guy, have you ever heard of Dietrich Bonhoeffer? You ever heard of him?
I remember I went in
World
there
War
when
II
the pen
Lutheran
came out,
pastor.
and they were selling 386
Died in the concentration camps.
Oh, wait a minute,
Um,
that's 2
He
generations
said, when
back.
Jesus calls
And he
him
wanted
in, he bid him
$1,000
come and
for
die.
it. You can buy it,
And
Pentium for less than that.
that kind of idea is lost on our culture because we hate suffering. We don't know what to do with it. It's like the prime excuse as to why people don't have any kind of belief or faith in God or relationship with God. We hate suffering. We're not sure what to do with it. And the idea that like, okay, I'm gonna come
We used to have
disciple, and
Chicken Shack
it's gonna
electronics,
cost
but
me.
they went out of business.
And well, this notion
Harley's does a good job, but they charge a lot.
losing everything in this world for the sake of
$3 something
this
for a resistor.
obscure carpenter 2,000 years ago. That's insane.
Obviously,
That's insane.
if you need a resistor and you need it now, you don't quibble about it because the cost
G.K.
of
Chesterton was like,
would
Christ
be
is either a
better.
liar, a lunatic, or he's telling the truth.
Did you get on Amazon Prime?
And here we are 2,000
Only
years
if you have
later.
a drone delivery.
You want to start lining up the
They don't
saints
deliver all those.
against any other faith tradition? I mean, it doesn't even compare.
Now.
Well, you don't understand. You need them to
And
admit.
Jesus, he didn't say like, I'm from, I can tell you this. He's like, no, I am.
Pick it up.
The weight of those claims, we would collapse underneath the
I mean,
weight of
seriously, you know, that's what I
The only
told
way
the guy
it
over at
maintains its
Curly
survival
Ridge
is because it's true and
And
because of the
youth.
eucalyptus.
Okay, and I use
Anyway,
this proximity sensors because the way when I designed the machine.
this is my,
They were the only electric supply house in town.
this is
So
my
when I designed
favorite.
the machine, I would go in there, I'd walk in their front door, walk around the.
Besides the prodigal
Go
son,
in
this is
there,
my,
where
and it's
there's-
long, so I'm not gonna read it all. You know the story, but this is my favorite passage in scripture.
Anyway, I
And it's a
walked in
sinful
there,
woman
and then I
forgiven.
started
It's from
pulling
Luke.
boxes out.
It's the one
And
where
I
the
see what they had
Pharisee
the
invites
most
Jesus
of.
to his house.
And that was the
Simon
one
does.
that I used to
And then this
design,
woman
because that's the
comes
one
in.
Cummins was using.
And washes
So I knew
Jesus'
they
feet
were
with
always
the tears and the
stocked.
ointment and all that
So that way I
stuff.
didn't have to stock it. Well,
And-
they lost, the Cummins went to
Kind of
a.
What we would have seen like in Jesus'
stock
time. Okay, you'd have a table, like, we wouldn't be sitting in chairs. We'd all be
So
like
they-
reclining at
Curly
tables,
Ridge
like laying on the
local
ground.
store
And then people
doesn't handle
would stand
that.
around the
So
outside
now,
of the
I
table
go
or
in there,
whatever, and they would
and I
listen
get
to the
proximity
conversation.
We can have it in 2 days.
That's, so it wouldn't have been weird for
I
some
need it
random
now.
person to be there watching this. And so that's
well,
like
we can order
the
it
setup,
Tuesday.
and this woman comes in,
Stock.
and it
I
says
said,
that
wait a minute,
she's a
let
known
me tell you how
sinner.
this works. Your only reason, from my perspective.
I don't
your
know
only reason for
any of your
existing
sins, but if you're a known
is if you
sinner
have
in
it in stock.
town,
If you don't have it
in
in
Jesus,
stock,
there's
I
only
will
one
get on the internet.
option.
I will order it
She's a
today.
hooker.
And what I
Prostitute,
paid for
probably, you know,
it,
prostitute probably a nice way to
okay,
say
and
it.
have it
But she's
tomorrow.
out, you know, hooking.
Why would I pay?
I don't know why, I just think that's a
I
fine.
mean, I'm gonna pay you
She
$90
was out
for
hooking.
proximity sensor. I can order it on the internet for
You can
$45,
edit that, right?
including shipping.
So she comes in and
And I'll have it tomorrow.
she starts bawling her eyes out enough to like wash Jesus' feet.
I'm getting the ones that got.
And
they got
Simon
the full
says,
cord on.
Oh, okay.
If he, this me or a prophet,
Yeah, not the.
he would know what kind of woman this is.
Those are
Quite
all-
naturally, I think you have to ask the question, well, how does he know?
If you go, like you go over there across the
You know,
street.
just food for thought.
2.5 miles. But they're
And
only.
now maybe somebody
When I
gossiped
walk
or
in
something
the
like
door,
that, but
the
I mean, think about this
down,
woman's career choice.
And we're waiting on edge parts to be able to
I mean,
assemble to keep the bench going.
Fornication,
I need to
obviously,
be able
but
to go.
adultery, Like, think of how many like families this one
There was
has
a long time
potentially
when they had
broken
the
up.
address.
And how many lives have been like straight up ruined
They
by
got busy.
this one
I'd walk in
person.
and grab all my stuff. I'd
Like
write my
Jesus,
own
he
ticket
doesn't
out,
flinch, he
run it
doesn't
through the
bat
address
an
and
eye.
grab. And if I'd walk
But
up
this
to
woman
like
comes in,
Bob or one of the guys
And
and
if she's
say,
washing
"Here,
her
I
feet, I
picked
mean,
it.
that
Why don't
means
you
like that
sign
she
it?"
has to be like bald. And she anoints
Decided
his
to give him the sheet and walk
with
out
his
the door.
perfume.
And
And
they generally come to me. Jeff, do you
The-
have anything?
You have a stash somewhere?
Usually I buy 2 or 3.
Okay.
an alabaster flask of ointment.
R&D, so if I'm gonna design something.
They would
I'm
wear
not
it
gonna
around their
wait for it
neck.
to come.
And there's another passage in
Because I
there
killed it.
where it talks about it's used for
You know what
burial.
R&D
But it's,
means?
you know,
Yeah.
a little
Research
bottle
and
this big
depression.
they wore around their neck. And it would, this ointment would cost
You been there?
about 300 denarii. And a denarii is a day's wage.
This was the guy that did all.
Essentially, that is a year's worth of work. That's how she paid for that by
When
turning
Shep
tricks.
is the one that came up.
And this is how
with
she's giving honor to Christ.
When we were building the crusher,
Only Christ
we were
can
trying
do
to get
that.
stuff to do.
I'm gonna take the fruits of your sin.
Minuscule
somehow
window
flip.
where all of
So
this
how does that
stuff
work
is.
for us? Like, okay, I
And
have,
if we change
you know,
something,
let's say you have like an
and
alcoholic
try
or
to
something
beef
like
it up,
that, or someone
and
who's
it would
addicted to
alter
something.
this geometry would
And they kind of
alter
work their way
this.
through it, and they
And
come
then
out on the other
closing
side.
speed would be 1%
Well, that,
off,
you know,
and because of
the
that, you didn't get
fruits
the
of
profits,
those
right?
sins are,
And so you're sitting there
they can be
playing
very,
with
they're
all
very,
these
you
different
can be very
variables, trying to get
compassionate to
exactly
people
where
who
you need
struggle.
to be.
That's what we're talking about, when we're
And he
talking
said,
about
well,
the
about
fruits
fifth time we
of
took it
our
apart and
sins.
said, I know what
And
our
that's
reason
Christ, I mean, and that's,
Research
that is the
and
cross.
practice.
He was dead on Friday, he's alive on Sunday.
Doing it over and over.
Yeah.
You know, that's how
Was the same
quickly,
result?
excuse me,
Well,
Christ
we were
can turn
getting-
these
we were
things.
getting
And so,
closer every time.
you know, that's kind of an
And then
interesting
finally we
piece
got where we
that
wanted to be.
she's giving him
But it's
honor
funny that I
by
lucked
the
into
sins
it the first
that
time.
brought her there in the first
I mean,
place.
absolute flat
And this is St.
luck,
Paul, all
like
things
we
work
did.
for the good for those
Flat,
who love
absolute
God.
luck.
So,
And I think your stuff in the back of your.
really important to remember,
Still even
and-
the surface you don't know about.
you know, that Jesus says, you have a creditor, one, you have small debt, you have a big debt, I forgive both of you, because you have a bigger debt. You'll love more because you had the bigger debt
Oh,
forgiven.
that was Bill.
To me, it's like
Free ball
a
had a
great
photograph in there. He could
image
go in the
of
middle lane,
sacramental
walk out of
confession.
that place and describe to me
The number
what
of
it
people
needed,
who
how big
avoid
the piece needed
the
to be,
sacrament
and what it had to
because
Didn't
I'm
think
gonna have to
conveyors
go
where
in,
he
and I'm
went
gonna
home,
have to tell Father, I
and he wanted to
did
slide pedal
this,
to it.
and this, and Father's gonna see me like my
I like when we went
absolute
into
worst.
the, into the.
The way Simon saw this woman.
This is scissor factory up in.
We only do the good things in life because of the grace of God. So, and going to
They're trying to
confession
get me
is
out
a
of
good
the
thing.
Fister's plant.
So that means grace brings us to
My
confession.
left-handed
It also
cheers.
takes a lot of humility
Oh,
and a lot of courage to come in and say,
I told the guys.
these are my sins, this is where I
How this
screwed
stuff
up.
works. Why don't you take the guards off of it so I
The
can see
priest
what's
has not
happening
seen
inside?
people at their worst when they come into confession. The priest has seen people at their absolute
Well,
best.
at that time, they didn't know what was
Humility,
going
the
there.
grace, and action, forgiven all their sins. Like, I'm not gonna encounter you any better than in the sacrament of confession. And that's, you know, and again, that's
And they still couldn't compete.
part of the fruits of those sins, that Christ can turn
Well,
our
last
sins
year,
that
materials
quickly,
was
that the worst things we've done, all of a sudden
That's where they
become a
start.
springboard to us being a disciple and to being the best person that we can be. And
They had
so,
no labor to speak of.
you know, there's a lot
But you have both flavors.
in this particular passage, but
Oh, yeah. It's
the
definitely.
disciple is
Who
a
knows if they
penitent
turn that factory,
disciple.
they turn it back on someday too.
We're not
They
perfect.
sold all the
We're
equipment.
not,
It's all gone. I couldn't
you know,
buy
we
it.
strive for holiness, we strive for
That
sanctity,
wasn't much fun.
but we're gonna mess it up. That's
Well, I
just
bought
a
an
fact.
injection molding a little bit.
I had lunch with Father Jerry Bird today in Alley, and after we left the restaurant, I was like, Father, can you hear my confession?
We can do that.
You know, that's one of the best parts about being a priest.
Not too much
Hearing
longer.
confessions is awesome, but then also like realizing like, I need to go to confession too. I'm a penitent, just as much as anybody else. John Paul II went to confession once every 9 days.
After all was
I'm not saying you have to
China,
go every
it's like-
9 days, but
And now all these politicians do want
the
to raise
disciple is a
minimum wage, make
penitent
it even worse,
sort of
make it even
person.
more competitive for China if we're ever gonna go.
So again, you know,
I don't know what's going on.
something to
waiting for
think
the
about.
You wanna know, you people.
And I forget everything that I hear in confession anyway,
Well,
so
he thinks he's a social.
almost immediately because
All
someone else
of
walks
us
in.
are.
Yeah, that's it.
So you don't wanna go last.
Oh, no, yeah, you don't wanna go last.
The
I'll go
Burger
back to
King
the,
guy, okay?
I'll go back to the rectory, you not believe what I just heard.
That's
And actually, if a priest breaks a seal of confession, he's excommunicated, which is not,
Yeah.
And I
I
said,
nobody wanna be
here's
there.
the deal, Steve. I said, they're
And
paying
actually,
$6 an hour for.
if you break the seal and you realize, oh my gosh, I've broken the seal,
Just say 60
you have to start writing all these letters,
That's all.
handwritten letters, correspondence back and
Yes,
forth
we
to
make
Rome and all
$40
this stuff.
an hour. You think
Eventually, like,
your
okay, your
contract's gonna be
excommunication censure's been lifted,
Are you
they give you a pretty
dreaming
stiff
It's
penance,
gonna be
and then all the
30 or
correspondence, all the
50.
letters are
So
burned.
you just went from up
There's no
here
record
compared to him
of it ever
to down
happening.
here.
Yeah,
And he came up to here.
It's
So now
kind
you
of-
guys are
it's-
comparable.
And all
Pretty-
businesses are gonna have to
It's
increase
neat.
Prices,
It's-
you know,
You know?
But it's like a terrible sort of reality.
And that's what I told
That's a
him.
big darn
I said, you know, you just.
But I mean, that's the thing, I
don't
mean,
understand
and-
how the real world operates.
The church takes
We
it
live in some
that
sort of
seriously.
vacuum.
I have a cousin, they were asking about confession,
I
was like, I can't say anything, ever, never, never. They're like, what if someone comes in and they're like, it says like they're abusing children? It's like,
Any
well, I
type
can't,
of a capital.
I can't say anything, like, what the hell is
You
that? It's
generally
like,
wind up.
if there's like
with
one
income
crap
distribution
in the
that looks
seal,
like
then no one
this.
will
A
come.
spade.
Like, people need to
There are
know
very
that
few people at the top, very few people
what
at the
happens in the
bottom.
confession
The
stays
vast
in the
majority
confession,
are in
sort
the
of.
lower to upper.
It's like a mini
middle
Vegas.
class. And a pyramid
To write
going up
handwritten
from
letters.
there.
If
It
not,
looks
you
like a
know,
spade.
you scribble some
Every
stuff out.
socialist economy, every one, it looks like a letter I.
The,
You have a
the
bar at the
passage
bottom
from
that's
John
got 98% of
is
the
Jesus
people,
and the woman
they have
of
about 2%
Samaria.
of the gross
It's the woman
gross
at the
domestic
well.
product. Then you have a long straight line.
And they've been walking,
straight up,
Jesus and
that
his
has very few people in it.
apostles, and
Each
it's
doing
like the
a
middle
little
of
bit
the
better
day.
than the guy belong. So you get to a
And
guy
they go to
at
get
the
some
top
food
that
and
has
stuff like that,
about
and Jesus goes
1%,
after this well.
that has
And it's,
about 98% of the.
he finds this woman
Yeah,
out there, this
about
Samaritan woman.
96%.
And, you know, they start talking, and Jesus is
You
like,
know what it
well,
comes down to?
you know, you have
There's a saying in
5
economics.
husbands and all this stuff,
Socialism
and
makes
not
people
really living
poor.
the best
Poor
of
people
lives and things like that.
socialists.
But the curious part
And that's
is
how it
that
works. So
she
what
goes
we
to the
do
well at the
is,
beginning of the
the only
day,
way you can
or she goes to the well
assist-
in the middle of the
There's
day,
two ways
the
that
absolute
you can
hottest
change
part of
ballots
the
and
day.
bullets. Okay?
My sister, she's in Africa
We're
right now
about
in a
done with
village,
ballots.
and you
Okay?
get water at the
So-
beginning of the day, or you get it at the end of the day. No one would ever think about getting it in the middle of the day because of the heat. And because like I need to do these things throughout the day, or night or whatever, so I need to get it earlier or later or
They will
whatever.
eventually get, look at
So the
Australia.
reason that she's
Australia
out
used to be
there
hardcore gun
getting in
rights.
the middle of it
Australia
is
is now illegal.
because she's embarrassed.
Oh, I know.
I don't.
And she's probably an
It is in
outcast.
Australia.
In Australia, yes, but I don't think it's right.
And Jesus knows this, and he starts revealing all this stuff to her. She's like, holy crap, how did you know this? And all this stuff.
So I'm sitting here.
Like, you know, they're working their way through it.
No, you will
But
not.
the-
There
the
will be a
discipleship
farm report.
Piece really comes in. At the end, she runs back to town and she's like, you won't believe what just happened to me at this well. There's this guy out there, and he just started telling me all these things about
And now
myself.
we have,
I
now they're
understand
And
what you're saying. What you've
The
got
disciples
is
were
the
like,
point that's
what are you
made
doing talking to her? And the
from
people in the
somebody
city are
on the
like,
radio
what are you talking about? I mean, you know, in the time of Christ,
that
you know,
said,
one woman saying this would be like,
the only thing Americans care about is something.
it's not gonna
stops
hold
you from driving.
much sway. So they kind of, you know, they go check it out for themselves, but that's the piece of the discipleship
Anything like
that really kind of
It's
comes
really upsetting. It's all
to
kinds of
fruition
faults,
here, is that, okay,
Everybody
you've
gets
encountered
hurt.
Christ.
but you don't hear about the little stuff. And
Now,
guess
what are you gonna do about it?
That's exactly
What is the value of encountering Christ and having your life change if nothing happens? If, you know, what if she just goes back and nothing happens?
Because the big thing will become the small thing.
You look at many Samaritans from the city believed in him after all this had happened. And so there's that call for us that once our lives has been affected by Christ, like we have to do something about it.
They have.
Again, I don't want
French
to
exhibit.
go back to the idea
Absolute best thing in the
of
world.
our judgment or whatever, but it's like,
Functional, used in for reality, guillotine.
if nothing comes from our encounter with Christ,
You tow it to Capitol Hill.
how are we supposed to explain that away? That we didn't go out and talk to people and tell anybody about this? Like, there's no way to really explain that away, so. Those are kind of the four passages that I wanted to look at. The reality of humility and recognizing that there isn't anything else out there, no matter what it is. And you know this.
Higher level.
We get pelted with all these options
But
out there, all these choices,
Our
and
citizens are going, no. As a matter of fact,
if you have enough options, eventually it'll be to the point where you don't make a
the life
decision
is
at
slightly
all.
lower than the top.
So, that's an important piece, and the importance of being forgiven and God's ability to kind of take our understanding, taking the cruddies of disciples and turning them into saints.
The ones that told him that he was a communist and he should die.
Paul was Saul, and Saul was a murderer. Peter denied Christ 3 times. He is the rock. Saint Dismas
Or now, so,
was the good thief.
and you can't make me.
On the cross, that's probably the first time he ever prayed in his life. And, he pulled one last job and he stole heaven. Mary Magdalene was a prostitute and she was the first to see the risen Christ. Saint Joseph doesn't speak in the scripture, and he's the patron saint of the universal church. Mary was a nobody, and she is the queen of heaven. And that's kind of leads me to kind of the last piece here, is the importance of marriage. As St. Augustine says, Mary is more blessed because she is a disciple of Christ, more so than because she was his
Almost
mother.
50% of the population is
When
on
you
the
think
double
about
ticket.
that kind of reality, that doesn't bring Mary down. It has the potential to raise us up. Mary is the perfect model of discipleship. She went all in. She didn't understand it all the time, and
Here's what we
she had
do.
to watch.
We get
Ma'am.
money.
Look at water's over here. Thank you.
And then once you're in the dive,
She had.
you just don't worry about the rest.
Sorry.
No,
She was like refusing to make eye contact with me like the last 5 minutes.
probably because it was getting real. She was scared. But Mary, she stands as
It isn't in here.
the perfect model of discipleship and the importance of
Guys have to
relying on Mary
Over there and looking out for
becomes very important. And
that of the 20
it cost Mary
highest
something.
income zip codes in the United States.
She didn't just lose her son, she had to watch.
And why is it
And
that
that's kind
all
of
the
morbid to
highest
think about.
Democratic
But it happened.
supporters are Apple,
There's
the
a
Apple people,
wonderful song, I can't remember the gal who sings it. It's a Christmas song.
We want those guys who are they're gonna take everybody else.
There's like bells and stuff in it. Anyways, it's a lovely song.
Secular song or a Christian song?
That's why.
No, it's a
I mean,
Christian
isn't
song.
it? Doesn't that sound logical to you? Sounds
But this
logical to
idea of
them.
I have no idea where this is gonna go,
Really?
but
The only thing I like about the whole thing is that setup where IRS is going to take over that farm. People stuff.
Iris taking over the farm.
Out of the ranch. They were gonna force them off the land and close it down and
I didn't hear about
it's just like,
it. Is that the one where he supposedly didn't pay a tax or something?
trying to gauge and trying to pull it. But it's just like controlling any water that's around. You have a puddle in your yard and it's under,
Yes.
you look at all that and everything's land grab at that point.
And that has passed. You are correct. Because
Always does.
I'm just saying, eventually they will take the big things, like our
Oh, they might
guns.
do, they're gonna fight
They
it.
will take the guns eventually. And we will stop them for as
There's
long
a
as
guy.
we can, but eventually we'll
His
get
name is
to
Hans
the
Erzman, officer. He's a
Our
Swiss theologian. Wrote a book.
I will be
A place to
dead.
buy.
Married the source of the church with Joseph Ratzinger. Wrote a book called There We Hope That All Men Be Saved. He's one of the fathers of Vatican Council II. This guy is as smart as holy,
But
and
the flight over
30-30
still.
scope, it's real good.
he
I've
says
got 308
theology
within
begins on
1,000
your
yards. I can put every shot in the
and I think we could
circle.
also say that discipleship
Flight over
begins
30
on our
yards.
knees.
They better be up here.
I shoot chaps.
Like, we gotta be praying.
I mean,
You wouldn't go onto you wouldn't make a trip into the desert.
Oh,
States
that's-
where hunting
All of a
is-
sudden you realize you didn't have water with you.
You hear
You
what
wouldn't
happened in
go.
what state was it?
That's prayer.
They just-
You wouldn't get on a, 20-hour flight if you were diabetic without your
Gave the
insulin.
right
You
to
wouldn't
their
get on,
sheriff.
just in case
Defy
something happened. I mean, and that's
That's-
the importance of
Any,
prayers
just in the news, defy
to
the,
discipleship.
the anti,
Uh,
what do we call that?
it's called
You know,
South
we're
Carolina.
trying to get rolling, the
Which
fourth
one was it?
Sunday of every month, just doing a holy
Oh, is that what
hour.
the second
Maybe a
one?
little scripture and short homily or something like that. You know, that's a good thing for you to try to get to. It's a Sunday night, which means it's a sacrifice.
Laws that are against our Second
Taco,
Amendment.
taco.
It'd be nice to just kind
They're
of
against the Second Amendment.
sit and relax.
I can't remember where it was,
But-
but he,
We were talking about this at lunch,
county
and
voted, that gave him the right to the sheriff to defy
culturally we
the
live kind
laws.
of in a world where
Yeah, they told him, well, they voted on it.
numbers
They voted on it.
are so important.
Not quite as
And
much.
if you have a lot of numbers, that means you're successful and whatever you're doing must be right because there's so many people showing up. And when it comes to matters of faith and things like that, that's not the case.
Well, I like the whatever the guys did.
This is a pretty
When
consistent
every
group.
second counts.
And so
And there's,
We take
I'm not
minutes.
saying we're gonna
we're
transform
only
the
minutes
world
away.
or the church or St. Bartholomew or whatever.
Every second
Like,
counts.
this is
It's
where
a
it
matter of life and
starts.
death. We're only minutes away.
But we have the option.
By us praying for the good of our parish and for the good of the young adults in our parish.
That doesn't stop.
Maybe thinking about,
Because I had one come over.
if you're a Starbucks fan or something like that, maybe on Friday, it's just like, I'll forego my Starbucks, once a week or something like that. And, these are not grand gestures, but they don't have to be. Mother Teresa, we're not called to do great things, just small things with great love. And,
They know that. Because
and it's not something that,
that is not written.
it's not worth bragging about, it's not newsworthy or anything like
Because if
that.
it
But
were,
for the,
our legislature
for the
would be
good of the
taking
group, for the
and
good of the
cutting
parish,
Ton of money on maintaining that.
offering more
They
prayers,
stopped a few things.
reading the scripture, St. Jerome, ignorance of scripture is ignorance of
There's
Christ.
too much inertia. There's
If
no-
we're gonna have a relationship with Christ, if we're gonna be disciples, then we gotta know who the heck Christ was to begin with, and it's never gonna happen if we're not reading this, and if we're not praying. What kind of marriage is gonna last if, say, husband and wife spoke to each other for 5 minutes a
It's
week?
too high, you're
That marriage
done,
will last a month, maybe.
okay? If there's nothing can stop it. Because what
Same
you're
thing,
dealing with
same
is
thing
you're
with
dealing,
women,
it's
so
an energy
there's an importance
transfer
for prayer.
equation. And you're at a point
You
where
know,
there's no way
Ally,
to deal with that
myself,
energy.
and Father Bird can talk about this, but, I wanna get a sense of
Concrete barriers are much better.
young adults
Chicago is interesting to see
in
all
the
the
church,
people.
in this country.
Where they crash through
You know, what do you think about what the church is
Next to
doing
the train
for you?
station, you see you see
Are you
giant
impressed
concrete
with the
barriers
church?
that
Do
you.
you wanna see more?
Did I
Concrete
bring
this thing.
the room?
I don't know, maybe we should turn the camera off or not,
Train station, or the German train station.
because I would like people
Where
to like be
the
candid.
engine and the coal car are hanging out the
I
second
don't know,
floor
what do you
window.
think?
That's fine
Where it
with
failed to
me, I
stop.
don't care.